You have done me one favor already by taking me as your tenant, and you now do me another by paying this friendly visit. If you have not breakfasted already, let me waive all ceremony on my side, and ask you to take your place at our little table." "With the greatest pleasure, Major Milroy, if I am not in the way," replied Allan, delighted at his reception. "I was sorry to hear from Miss Milroy that Mrs. Milroy is an invalid. Perhaps my being here unexpectedly, perhaps the sight of a strange face—" "I understand your hesitation, Mr. Armadale," said the Major, "but it's quite unnecessary. Mrs. Milroy's illness keeps her entirely confined to her own room. Have we got everything we want on the table, my love?" he went on, changing the subject so abruptly that a closer observer than Allan might have suspected it was distasteful to him. "Will you come and make tea?" Miss Milroy's attention appeared to be already pre-engaged. She made no reply. While her father and Allan had been exchanging civilities, she had been putting the writing table in order, and examining the various objects scattered on it with the unrestrained curiosity of a spoiled child. The moment after the Major had spoken to her, she discovered a morsel of paper hidden between the leaves of the blotting book, snatched it up, looked at it, and turned round instantly with an exclamation of surprise. "Do my eyes deceive me, papa?" she asked. "Or were you really and truly writing the advertisement when I came in?" "I had just finished it," replied her father. "But my dear, Mr. Armadale is here. We are waiting for breakfast." "Mr. Armadale knows all about it," rejoined Miss Milroy. "I told him in the garden." "Oh, yes," said Allan. "Pray don't make a stranger of me, Major. If it's about the governess, I've got something, in an indirect sort of way, to do with it too." Major Milroy smiled. Before he could answer, his daughter, who had been reading the advertisement, appealed to him eagerly for the second time. "Oh, papa," she said, "there's one thing here I don't like at all. Why do you put grandmamma's initials at the end? Why do you tell them to write to grandmamma's house in London?" "My dear, your mother can do nothing in this matter, as you know. And as for me, even if I went to London, questioning strange ladies about their characters and accomplishments is the last thing in the world that I am fit to do. Your grandmamma is on the spot, and your grandmamma is the proper person to receive the letters and to make all the necessary inquiries." "But I want to see the letters myself," persisted the spoiled child. "Some of them are sure to be amusing." "I don't apologize for this very unceremonious reception of you, Mr. Armadale," said the Major, turning to Allan, with a quaint and quiet humor. "It may be useful as a warning, if you ever chance to marry and have a daughter, not to begin, as I have done, by letting her have her own way." Allan laughed, and Miss Milroy persisted. "Besides," she went on, "I should like to help in choosing which letters we answer, and which we don't. I think I ought to have some voice in the selection of my own governess. Why not tell them, papa, to send their letters down here to the post office, or the stationer's, or anywhere you like? When you and I have read them, we can send up the letters we prefer to grandmamma, and she can ask all the questions and pick out the best governess, just as you have arranged already, without leaving me entirely in the dark, which I consider, don't you, Mr. Armadale, to be quite inhuman. Let me alter the address, papa. Do, there's a darling." "We shall get no breakfast, Mr. Armadale, if I don't say yes," said the Major good-humoredly. "Do as you like, my dear," he added, turning to his daughter. As long as it ends in your grandmamma's managing the matter for us, the rest is of very little consequence." Miss Milroy took up her father's pen, drew it through the last line of the advertisement, and wrote the altered address with her own hand, as follows: "Apply by letter to M. Post Office, Thorpe Ambrose, Norfolk." "There," she said, bustling to her place at the breakfast table, "the advertisement may go to London now; and if a governess does come of it, oh papa, who in the name of wonder will she be?" "Tea or coffee, Mr. Armadale? I'm really ashamed of having kept you waiting; but it is such a comfort," she added saucily, "to get all one's business off one's mind before breakfast." Father, daughter, and guest sat down together sociably at the little round table, the best of good neighbors and good friends already. 3 days later, one of the London newsboys got his business off his mind before breakfast. His district was Diana Street, Pimlico, and the last of the morning's newspapers which he disposed of was the newspaper he left at Mrs. Oldershaw's door. End of Book the Second, Chapter 2.